Member Woods.
Here.
Statement of rules.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Hey, it's good to see everyone this morning. Welcome to our May 14th meeting. At this meeting, we do have rules. I ask at this time, if anyone have any type of electronic device, including cell phone, please at this time put it on the off or the vibrator position, the off or the vibrator position. Any person that is desiring to address the council must sign in, indicating the resolution, the ordinance, appeal, or public hearing agenda item before entering the meeting. When addressing the council, the speaker must give his or her name. Any person that is desiring to speak to the council on a non-agenda item must contact the city clerk office no later than 2:00 p.m. prior to the council meeting. The subject that he or she wishes to express to the Mobile City Council must be identified and pertain to the City of Mobile business. Any person that has not given proper notice to the city clerk office and wishes to speak on a non-agenda item will not be allowed to address this council. Each speaker is allowed 3 minutes to address the council. A bell will sound to indicate the end of 2 minutes. 1 minute remains for summarizing. The second bell indicates that your time has expired. When addressing the council, there is to be no personal address to any individual council members. All statements are to be made to the chair, who will recognize any council member that would like to respond. So when addressing me, I'm not deaf, so you don't holler. I'm right here, okay? To maintain decorum, there shall be no undue applause or public outcry allowed. Madam Clerk.
Approval of minutes of May 7th.
So moved.
Second. And properly moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Minutes approved.
Communications from Mayor Stimpson.
Good morning. It's
Morning.
good to see everyone this morning. I appreciate you being here today. Several announcements. One is a very exciting birthday coming up. The Bienville Square will be 200 years old, and we'll be celebrating that on May 24th. I don't know if you've been by Bienville Square lately, but it looks magnificent. They've done just a terrific job with the landscaping, the hardscaping, and it's a place where I think everybody from Mobile will be proud to show guests, but also a place where Mobileans can go and enjoy themselves. On Friday, May 24th at 11 a.m., we'll be celebrating that 200th birthday. There'll be food trucks, musical entertainment, art displays, and more. We'll also recognize the partners who made the square's recent renovations possible. So bring a chair or blanket to come celebrate that 200th birthday. We have several projects that have been underway for a while, and I just want to give you an update on them. The South McGregor Avenue project from Dolphin Street to Airport Boulevard continues. It is in that project. It's a complete streets project where the road has been completely pulled up. Every utility associated with it will be replaced. It's a $23 million investment. And it includes, as I've said, all new utilities, stormwaters, new traffic signals and lights, new sidewalks, new roundabout at the Dolphin Street exit. The next steps on that have to do with the bridge that was we call it the ditch there, but that's actually a Slobber Creek right before you get to the commercial part of the corridor there. But if you want to stay current on that project, you can visit our City of Mobile website, or you can text Mobile McGregor to 91896. Okay, so the next announcement has to do with, this is Law Enforcement Appreciation Week also. And this is a reminder and a way to honor and remember all officers, not only who are currently serving, but also those that gave their lives in the line of duty. Throughout this week, we'll be highlighting officers who put their lives on the line every day. I want to encourage Mobilians to do the same. You know, if you see an officer, tell them you support them. Honk at them, wave at them. If you have an opportunity to buy breakfast or lunch, do so. But also, I'd encourage you just to think about those that have fallen. It's my understanding that over the period of time that over 20 officers have fallen in the line of duty in the city of Mobile. During the 10 years that I've been mayor, we've tragically lost 2 officers, Sean Tudor and Justin Biller. This time I'd like for us just to take just a moment, have a moment of silence for those who have fallen in the line of duty. So if you'll just bow with me for a moment. Thank you very much. And, you know, there are a lot of aspects to having a safe community, but it's a foregone conclusion, without police, we would not have a safe community. And I would also say that, you know, we're holding our policemen to a standard that few of us could probably uphold. And so they're scrutinized. They are continuously looking at ways that they can improve by adopting new tactics, strategies, adopting new policies and procedures. And we will continue to work with them to improve. So I have 2 proclamations that I would like to read. One is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so those who are here, I see Turk in the audience, so Turk Schlesinger, Latrina Thomas with Lifelines Counseling Services, Cindy Turbethil, the NAMI Mobile, and Ada Lockett, also with NAMI. So if y'all will approach the podium, and I'll read it from here. Oh, excuse me. Is Heather Higdon here also? Yes, okay. Thank you, Heather. And she's with the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. So I will read the proclamation, and Turk, any of you that would like to make remarks to the council, we can do so. And then after I read the next proclamation, I'll meet you. Those that would like to have a picture, we'll go into the foyer and have the picture made. So the proclamation reads, whereas mental health is an integral aspect of overall well-being, impacting individuals, families, and communities alike, and whereas conditions affect millions of people worldwide, transcending age, gender, and race, and social economic status, and whereas AltarPoint, Lifelines Counseling, National Alliance on Mental Health Illness, and 998 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline serve our most at-risk citizens in the city of Mobile and surrounding counties, and whereas AltarPoint Health and our community partners are committed to promoting mental health awareness, providing essential services, and advocating for mental health equity and access to care, and whereas by recognizing Mental Health Awareness Month, we affirm our dedication to breaking stigma, enhancing resources, and fostering a culture of acceptance and support for individuals living with mental health conditions. Now, therefore, I, William S. Stimpson, the 108th Mayor of the City of Mobile, do hereby proclaim May 2024 as Mental Health Awareness Month in the City of Mobile. Thank you. Turn them. Can you turn on the mic?
Push the button.
Yeah.
Good morning. I am Ida Lockett with the National Alliance on Mental Illness here in Mobile, Alabama. Thank you so much for the proclamation. As you are aware, especially since COVID, we have an increase in individuals who have a mental health illness. Also, depression and anxiety is a serious problem for our young adults. So thank you so much for making this proclamation and supporting NAMI and the organizations that help our individuals and families.
Ms. Lockett,
Yes, sir.
I noticed that I may have a typo. Is the number 998 or 988?
988 is the suicide crisis behavior.
Okay, 988.
line. Yes,
Okay.
988.
Thank you very
And
much.
NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness.
Okay, thank you very
Yes,
much.
sir, welcome.
All right. Nobody wants to come behind Ida Lockett. I tell you that. She's fantastic. But anyway, thank you all for this proclamation from the City Council and from the Mayor's office. We at AltarPoint are proud to be serving the people here. and we want to continue to do the best job that we can do. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for your recognition on how important behavioral health and mental health is in our community. And I wanted to also mention, these are the 988 representatives. Isaac and Heather are here, and I think just to continue to make this aware to all of our public is that 988 is the phone number that people call for emergency, just like you would have for 911 on everything else. So 988 is for behavioral health, mental health crisis, and if you call that number, we'll have somebody here to answer that call immediately. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for all of y'all doing in the community.
Thank you very much. So the next proclamation is Motorcycle Awareness Month. The proclamation attendees are Michael Stieber, who represents the Dixie Abate of Alabama, Law Tigers, Mobile Bay Vintage Motorcycle Club. Mike Murphy, I assume if y'all are here, would y'all please, yep, if y'all can come to the podium, please. Mike Murphy with the Mobile Bay Vintage Motorcycle Club. Chris Best, who's a biker dad, and Kim McDowell, American Legion Riders. And the proclamation reads, whereas safety is the highest priority for highways and streets of our city and state, and whereas the City of Mobile is proud to be a leader in motorcycle safety, education, and awareness, and whereas motorcycles are a common and economical means of transportation that reduce fuel consumption and road wear and contribute to a significant way to the relief of traffic and parking congestion, and whereas the motorcyclists of Mobile have contributed extensive volunteerism and money to local and community charitable organizations, and whereas during the month of May, all road users unite in the safe sharing of roadways within the City of Mobile and throughout the great state of Alabama. Now, therefore, I, William S. Stimson, the 108th Mayor of the City of Mobile, do hereby officially proclaim May 2024 as Motorcycle Awareness Month in the City of Mobile. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor, for issuing the proclamation declaring May Motorcycle Awareness Month. In the age of looking for alternative means of transportation, motorcycles are greatly overlooked. They are inexpensive alternative to transportation. The used and new vehicle average reached $46,000, $47,000 this year. You can pick up a motorcycle for $5,000. And as you mentioned, they do less harm to the environment, the infrastructure, get better fuel economy. So all around, it should be looked at as a way to promote transportation in the city. Thank you very much for your.
Thank you. I'll see y'all outside in just a moment. But this time I'd like to call on executive. Oh, excuse me.
Okay, so I'm Freddie Wheeler. I'm legislative liaison for Dixie Abate. And motorcycle awareness is much more than just drivers being aware. It's also about the city being aware of possible barriers to seeing motorcyclists, trimming your bushes back, making sure signs are out of the right of way, making sure potholes are filled correctly. And this is all part of making sure that the rider is safe. So being aware that motorcycles also require smaller parking places, so including motorcycle-only parking places and garages, might be helpful to the city in providing more parking places for cars. So motorcycle awareness extends far beyond just people in cars.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wheeler. So at this time, I'd like to call on Executive Director Shayla Biko of Bill Mobile to introduce the Employee of the Month.
To the mayor and the members of the city council, on behalf of the Employee Engagement Committee, we recognize Meredith Wilson, architectural historian for the Historic Development Department. Meredith has served in this capacity for the last 3 years. Just a few things about Meredith and why she's being recognized today. Meredith has filled in for her coworkers when out of the office, serving as the only architectural historian for the department and managing the workload of 3 people with a smile on her face and a positive attitude. She has single-handedly coordinated the Historic Preservation Month activities for the Historic Development Department, working with real estate agents and other groups to offer useful workshops and fun events for the public's enjoyment. Not only is she an expert in her field, Meredith is also approachable and provides an exceptional level of customer service to the visitors that come to our office, with those folks having very little understanding of how the historic development procedures work. Meredith, we thank you for your very valuable contributions and greatly appreciate your service to the City of Mobile. Please join me in recognizing Meredith Wilson.
That concludes my remarks, Mr. President.
Councilman Carroll.
I get to call him back. It's always a pleasure to talk a little bit about preservation and Preservation Month in the city of Mobile. One being that I actually live in a protected historic district in Oakley, and two, probably about 80% of what we do residentially is in historic neighborhoods and preservation and trying to preserve old homes. So it's near and dear to me. Just a quick commercial. On the agenda, we've had, I think, $20,000 in money set aside, or that was a grant that goes towards the guidelines and addressing parts of the guidelines that we need to somewhat adjust and make better on. I'd like to ask Shayla, while I'm standing up here talking about preservation, if we would consider the section that handles demolition by neglect. I mean, there are a bunch of houses in old neighborhoods that have a hard time that just go by the wayside because we can't really do anything because of demolition not by neglect. It may be an opportunity, being that it's Historic Preservation Month, that we may be able to have open conversations on those things. Mobile is truly blessed to have so many historic structures and places in cities and neighborhoods, some that aren't protected, some that have properties that we just realized on Kennedy Street that go back to a time before the Civil War that we almost lost. So without groups like this, we don't have the opportunity to keep our most precious structures that are residential and provide and add value to our communities together. So being that it is Preservation Month, I'd like to read this proclamation from the City of Mobile and from the City Council. Whereas the City of Mobile, founded in 1702 on the banks of the Mobile River, is a city rich in history, culture, and diverse architectural styles. And whereas Mobile is fortunate to have this history reflected in the preservation efforts and restoration of vast collections of historic homes and buildings that represent our heritage and define the character of our beautiful city. And whereas these historic designations have produced enormous economic impact through hundreds of millions of dollars in investments and renovations. In fiscal year 2023 alone, investments in locally designated historic districts exceeded $189 million. And corresponding increases in taxable value. And whereas hundreds of jobs have been created and sustained in the construction trades as well as ancillary vocations. And whereas the Mobile Historic Development Commission, Historic Mobile Preservation Society, the Downtown Mobile Alliance, Main Street Mobile, and Restore Mobile Incorporated, in conjunction with the Alabama Historic Commission and the National Trust for Historic Preservation, celebrate National Historic Preservation to all of our residents and visitors. And now, therefore, I, Councilman William C. Carroll of District 2, and members of the Mobile City Council do hereby proclaim May 2024 as Historic Preservation Month in the City of Mobile. Meredith, why don't you say something?
You know, I always like to promote that preservation is development. And this Wednesday, I guess tomorrow, we're doing our very popular Hard Hat Happy Hour tour, and we'll showcase a number of buildings downtown that are under renovation, and that's always a popular thing. So, thank you for your support, and it's making a huge difference. So, thank you.
Adoption of the agenda.
Second.
Been properly moved in second in the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Agenda's adopted.
Appeals, we have requests for a waiver of the noise ordinance on March the 3rd on Dolphin Street.
Motion to lay over 30 days, please.
Second.
Properly moved in second in the discussion.
Just so that the community is aware, I have been made aware, or being that I live around in the neighborhood, that this is during the height, looks like, of maybe Mardi Gras season next year, in the heart of a community and heart of a residential neighborhood. And we're looking at a waiver until 1 a.m. I kind of need to talk to everybody and find out what's actually going on here before we actually let this go, or before we actually make a decision. So that's where I am. I'm asking that you guys lay it over 30 days, give me a chance to talk to everybody.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item laid over 30 days.
Request for a waiver of the noise ordinance on October the 19th on Sage Avenue.
So moved. Second.
Properly moved in second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passed.
Request for a waiver of the noise ordinance on May 14th on Cody Road North.
Move to table.
Second.
Properly moved in second in the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item table.
Public hearings today is a public hearing to consider an ordinance to amend Article 13, Section 64-13-2 of the Unified Development Code.
Let's open up the public hearing for this particular said item. Is anyone present that would like to address the council on this item? If so, you may come down to the podium by stating your name.
Linda St. John, 320 Avalon Street. I'm here once again representing the Village of Spring Hill in support of the proposed amendment to reduce the required contiguous acreage in the UDC for a planned development in the village from 10 acres to 4 acres. The UDC states that a planned development east of I-65 must have 5 contiguous acres, and west of I-65, which includes Spring Hill, 10 contiguous acres. This arbitrary requirement completely negates the Village of Spring Hill master plan and is entirely impractical since none of the 4 commercial areas in the plan have 10 contiguous acres. It will severely restrict the developer's ability to comply with such large acreage requirements and will most certainly be a deterrent for future development in these areas in Spring Hill. A vital part of our plan is to incentivize the developmental community to cultivate projects in these areas, not to make the restrictions so difficult projects are not considered. For many years, Spring Hill has agonized over how to achieve a goal of long-term commercial sustainability. We have historically had a very high turnover in our commercial areas. One major component of our plan outlines a path forward for commercial development in Spring Hill, but this 10-acre requirement in the UDC for Spring Hill defeats this incentive built into the plan. The Village of Spring Hill plan, the blueprint for Spring Hill, was approved by the City Council in January of 2008 and adopted by the City of Mobile and incorporated into the City of Mobile's master plan in 2009. This resolution made the plan for Spring Hill the City of Mobile's plan for Spring Hill, not just the Village of Spring Hill plan. We feel the proposed amendment to reduce the minimum contiguous acreage requirements for planned development down to 4 acres in the village is a reasonable compromise that allows the development within the commercial areas of the village of Spring Hill while still maintaining a level of control over potential adverse development. I'd like to take this opportunity just to thank, I know that Councilman Joel Days has decided not to run for his seat in the village of Spring Hill in District 5 next year. So I just want to take this opportunity, in case I'm not before the council again, to thank Joel and to thank Gina in particularly for being advocates for our plan through all these years, and maybe for putting up with me a little bit. I've been told I can be a little intense at times. So it has been, they have represented Spring Hill tremendously in this effort to keep our plan on the path. With the UDC now, we're right on the cusp of really having some really great commercial development in Spring Hill. And hopefully with the support of this council, like we had the support of the council in 2008, we can move some really great projects forward in the village. Thank you.
Is anyone else present that would like to address the council on this particular said item? If not, this public hearing is closed.
Today is a public hearing to rezone property located at 1100 Spring Hill Avenue from R2, B1, and B3 to B3.
This opens the public hearing for this particular said item. Is anyone present that would like to address the council? If so, by coming down to the podium and stating your name.
Thank you. Greetings. Reggie Hill is my name. I only have a few matters to address about this. I'm not completely against the project per se, because we look east to the property. Once you go over Pine Street going down Spring Hill, there is a commercial venue that is there as well. However, we also know that that commercial venue will no longer be excuse me, on that site. So the idea of understanding the assuredness and the affirmation of the building that we're now going to extend its commercial front to, knowing that it's going to be there in place, is something that I think we need to examine. If you look back now going north, it's only adding a parking lot to this vicinity. However, again, we're encroaching upon the neighborhood. And the threat of that is because, unfortunately, just within this district, in District 2, we don't really have the representation to protect our residential areas. We're seeing where so many new projects are coming up to where we are threatening communities and neighborhoods that have been in existence for quite some time, not really knowing the fullness of what's taking place within these commercial projects. So I want to ask about the advertising as well, because I took a deep dive into this. You all can pull up the PDF to examine this. The signage was placed on the street where only if you're a resident of this area, you would even see the signage. And as well, we know with previous cases, particularly like something that's in the court now, whereas the clause says that it has to be a 300-foot radius of the citizens or neighboring bodies that are informed. We have where Ms. Pappas has even mentioned where only the outskirts of even those people who fall into the clause of 300 feet were even notified. And it also states within the PDF where there were maybe 3 to 5 individuals who called in to say that they wouldn't be able to attend the meeting, but yet only one person was even signed on the roll. So I wanted to know, like, what type of applications are we putting, or what are we applying rather, to ensure that we are filling the entire 300-foot radius, to make sure that everybody is aware of what's taking place, and then how do we verify that that information was sent out. Then the piece about this long-term planning for the existing areas, if there is something, because we just heard the lady mention about how the code may be deviating from what was actually approved, and we've seen this with the Africatown plan as well. Is there something that citizens can use to compare how these city plans are being aligned with what the UDC says, so that we can kind of avoid having to not only come before the public hearings, but potentially prevent things from going to the court system because they don't necessarily reflect what the citizens are hoping to see in their neighborhoods where they're paying the taxpayer resources. So ultimately, I know that's quite a bit to cover, but if we can have that understanding about who was notified within that 300-foot radius, what are the stipulations for how we place the signage? Because again, it was not in an area that the regular traffic will be able to see. As well, what is the actual plan regards to just the parking lot, excuse me, that we're going to see there? Because the property that's east of this, while it still fits the scope, like geographically, they are no longer there as a business, and so it's encroaching upon the residential piece. And lastly, how can we ensure that the plans and expectations of our neighborhoods and residents are actually reflected in what's in the UDC? Again, this is something I think that we might need to be revisiting. I'll entertain a response if there is one, but you know how that is also.
You want me to respond to this?
That's it, Mr. Hill? That's all the question?
So it
But
wasn't
it was 5 minutes anyway.
It wasn't a
All right.
response. Okay.
Yeah, it
I
was
just
5
wanted to make
minutes.
sure it was
Okay.
on the record that it wasn't a response. Thank you.
Mr. Perry.
No, I just wanted to know if you wanted me to respond to it, or maybe better let Shayla respond to this one, since you guys were.
If those questions can be submitted in writing if like, but otherwise, we'll move forward.
Repeat that one more time, Councilman Wood.
If he wants to submit those questions in writing to the administration, that's fine, but we won't be responding today.
Okay. Madam Clerk. I'm sorry. Is anyone else that would like to address this public hearing? So you may come down to the podium.
Sabrina Mass, good morning. We are not submitting anything in writing what we have stated in front of the council about these residential.
Wait a minute.
Sabrina Mass.
You got to talk on
I'm
this
talking on that topic.
on this particular public
That's the
hearing.
topic. The topic is Spring Hill. I know, I'm very intelligent.
Get to the topic.
Residential. I'm staying on topic. Please stop interrupting me. I'm on topic. Now I keep telling y'all. Now, the man came asking about a residential, and I'm speaking on behalf of residentials. Nothing should have to be put on paper when we're asking the people that represent or are supposed to represent us to ask and answer the questions. We no longer will sit here on any residential mine, Spring Hill, anything saying, do this and do that. We want answers when we ask questions. What are y'all getting paid to do? Answer the question, God.
Is there anyone else present that would like to address the council on this particular said item?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. My name is Joseph Dennis. I'm a member of the Strikers Club Incorporated. We've been in existence for 90 years here. You guys recognized us last year, not 90.
Speak a little bit closer.
90th year of our anniversary last year. We've owned this property for approximately 15 years now, and we've had a long-standing agreement with the Malls building next door that is now closing, that they would allow us to use their parking lot when we had events. We do a lot of civic events. We do food drives. We do voter registrations. We've done all kinds of events there. We do our debutante escort program. We're a community-based organization. We already own the properties. We're simply asking to rezone those properties so that we can build our own parking lot now, so that when we host these events, we don't have people parked in the streets as well as overflowing out and impeding traffic. So, thank you.
Mr. President,
Yes.
thank you. Let it be known that the building next door to him to the east was owned by Moss. It's now owned by the 100 Black Men. 100 Black Men have not entered into a contract yet to share the property or anything like that. The property that's to the rear of them is owned by the Strikers, and it goes back one property line, and then there's another 2 residential lots behind them going that way, which are empty, overgrown, derelict, that, by the way, the Strikers have been cutting, keeping nice, and taking care of as community service. They've also been cutting the one behind them and let everybody in public know that they've already been parking on this lot now for the last 15 years. There's also problems with parking on Spring Hill Avenue when they have major events where people are trying to park in the main thoroughfare of Spring Hill Avenue. So this in itself is providing a little bit more safety, a little bit more security, and it's enhancing their property, which they already have, that if they had done a single lot PUD when they bought it, would have already been a parking lot. So they're just going through the process that it takes to handle their own property that's already there. Now, there's been some buffering requests and things like that were done before Cortez passed. Let me offer my condolences to you from about your member Cortez Horton. A lot of us called him Tony too. Been a friend of ours and a friend of this community forever. Does community service everywhere. It's a, you know, in my mind, the project helps the community. In my mind, if we do the planning and the buffering and the plants and enhance the lot the way that you guys are talking about, it'll be an asset to the street more so than a detriment. So this is hopefully as we go through the process, it will all come out right. Sometimes people don't know, making accusations without information, making statements without having all information hurts the community more so than anything else. And to come to those podiums, sometimes using words that aren't correct, hurt us more so than help us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all so much for all you all do too in the community also. Is anyone else that's present that would like to address the council on this particular said item? If not, this public hearing is closed.
Public hearing for the proposed modification of a previously approved planned unit development for property located at 3201 Airport Boulevard and 410 and 450 Bel Air Boulevard.
This opened up the public hearing for this particular said item. Is anyone present that would like to address the council on this item? If not, this particular public hearing is closed.
Public hearing to rezone property located at 255, 257, and 259 Dogwood Drive from R1 to B1.
This opened up the public hearing for this particular said item. Is anyone present that would like to address the council? You may come now to the podium by stating your name.
Am I on?
Yeah.
This is on?
Yes, sir. Remember,
Thank you very
remember
much.
You have 5 minutes.
Yeah, excuse my voice. Good morning, and thank you for allowing me to come here. My name is Greg Sad. I'm at 3601 Spring Hill Business Park. I'm here today, which I hope not to go into too many details because we've been through, this would be our third public hearing. But we're here to answer any question. And today I'm accompanied by some of our team members, our civil engineer, our landscape architect, our traffic engineer, and my legal counsel as well. And they will certainly address anything that needs to come up. If you would, I brought a few visual aids that might help and might not. Let's turn around, if you could, slide to the next one. You can see right here, this is a little bit difficult to see, but yeah, let's go to that one. Brandon, you may need to bring down here the boards because this is not going to be come through. Go to the next page. Well, stop right there. All right. One of the critical issues that came up before is the subdivision that the restrictions were removed. This is a recorded document that was recorded on October the 4th, 17. If you'll scroll up a little bit, up, other direction. Okay, right there. You can see they terminate, as I mentioned, all of the restrictive covenants. Now, why is that important is because, as I mentioned before, they could have modified them in any way possible. So what we want to show you is what is the area that they actually removed all the restrictions. Go to the next page. Let's see if we can. Thank you very much, Ashley. Okay, keep going. So what you see here depicts the subdivision of the restrictive covenants that were removed. Why is this important? It's because that's the area that no longer has restrictive covenants to only residential. Everything, if you could go to the next page, please. Okay, right here. What you see here is the properties around it that are zoned commercial, some B2, some LB2, one of them. The area that I see city designated, or that I've noted city designated in comprehensive plan as future commercial, that was designated in the comprehensive plan before the restrictive covenants were terminated. Now, what's the point? The point is there was anticipation of change as conditions change. Doesn't mean that it was going to be zoned. So you can see the request that we're making right there, B1 request. So it's surrounded by B2, LB2, and B3. B1, thank you. If you could go to the next item, that should be item number 3. There we go. And we're going to, right there. So here's the comprehensive plan that points to future commercial application right there on University Boulevard. And we all know that Airport Boulevard, I think we know, we would assume this, Airport Boulevard is a bit busier than University Boulevard. The site that we're proposing to zone, which is no longer restricted for residential, is B1. It fronts Airport Boulevard. B1, by the definition of the ordinance, says it is to abut, designed to abut single-family residential, to be used as a buffer between commercial and residential. Please go to the next page. Keep going. We went through that. Keep going. Keep going. All right, right there. So if you'll start flipping pages, what you see here are changing conditions. If you'll go to the next one, this one was 2011. That's 2007. It got out of order. Keep going. There's 2013. You can see across the road, it was B2 zoning, changing conditions. Keep going. This is 2019. Now you've got CVS there, changing conditions. Keep going. 2017 again, just a different point of view. Right here, stop. Here's the B2 property right here that is showing big trucks coming in from a residential road right there. We don't have that in our plan. Our plan is highly landscaped in the back. If you could keep going so I could get to our plan. All right, there's our preliminary site plan. Keep going. Keep going. Keep. There you go. That's just somebody, just keep going down. In fact, go ahead and jump over to item number 4 in there, and that'll sum up. What I'm going to show you is what we are planning right now, item number 4. Planning, which could change some. Here's the project. You can see that we're pounding away at retaining the buffer around the site. Keep going. There's the heavy landscaping around the dumpster and the east side. Keep going. All right. That's a view that we took from our engineers looking out the second window, looking south at the home in the back.
Sum it up in 30 seconds. Sum it up in 30 seconds.
All right, if you could just flip through. There's her yard looking in. Keep going. All right, there's the proposed building right there. Keep going. That's the courtyard. Keep going. That's it? Okay. Last point that I'd like to make is this is B1. I know that y'all have heard that over and over again. B1, it is that by design to buffer from residential. We believe we have hit every spot in the comprehensive plan and planned real well, working with the neighbors. Not all of them, obviously, there's some opposed to it, but we've come up with a good plan. And we hope, one last point, there's been talk about the bank. I'm not here today to ask you to zone it for a bank. I depicted that because I wanted to be transparent. I'm here today to ask you for a B1 zoning. I still have to go through the Board of Adjustments to get to the possibility of a drive-through. So that's not set in stone. I'm asking for general commercial B1. Thank you.
Any questions or comments from the council? All right, thank you. Is there anyone else present that would like to address the council on this particular said item?
Mr. President, I do have one question. It's really for staff.
Go ahead, Mr. Reynolds.
The future land use map, did the city council approve the future land use map, or is that just an administrative function?
The Mobile City Council did not approve the future land use plan. Its only required action is that of the Planning Commission.
Is that wrong? Okay. You can go ahead, sir.
Jerry Spiegel, 4320 Babb Street, Mobile is my residence address, and 5 Dolphin Street is my business address. My understanding of what's happened previously is that Mr. Sad went before the Planning Commission, and at the Planning Commission level, the staff had approved this development. I think it's going to be a really good-looking development. And at the Planning Commission approved. Now, the salient parts of that approval from the letter of decision of November 20 of last year is that the Planning Commission determined the following criteria prevail to support the rezoning request. Consistency. The proposed amendment is consistent with the comprehensive plan. Compatibility. The proposed amendment is compatible with, 1, the current development trends, if any, in the vicinity of the subject property. 2, surrounding land uses. 3, would not adversely impact neighboring properties, or lastly, cause a loss in property values. Then changed or changing conditions area, make an amendment necessary and desirable. Benefits consideration. In addition, consideration was given to the city's and the larger community's best interest in the need, benefit, or public purpose of the proposed request. The Planning Commission approved. And if you saw the architect's rendition, this is going to be a really, really good-looking building. And as we know, those of us, all of us, that drive down Airport Boulevard from time to time, it's not the prettiest. And we've all been to other cities where you see modern buildings that have a lot of greenery, as this one will, spaces that are for parking in the back. You'll see the facade of the building. It's a good-looking building. Now, what we have as far as the backdrop of this project is that, as we all know, Publix was developed across the street, rezoned. It extends to the east past the eastern edge of this property. So that's on the north side. On the south side, you have CVS. Now, CVS was the history of that, and many of you may know, but at that, CVS asked for rezoning. The planning staff recommended rezoning. The Planning Commission denied that and recommended to the council that that zoning request be denied, which it was. The owners of those residential lots, which, as Mr. Sad said, had been the restrictions on that property where CVS is and this property removed at the same time, restrictions that would prevent this kind of development. Those owners petitioned the circuit court. And the circuit court decided in that case, in Judge Stout in 2016, that both sides asked for summary judgment. And for those of you who aren't lawyers who understand that, good that you aren't. What the court decided was there were no issues of material fact. In other words, all the facts that were out there, the judge might as well apply the law. And one thing Judge Stout did from the facts that were presented to him in summary judgment is, from I-65 all the way to Schillinger's, every single major street that ran to Airport Boulevard was either zoned B2, neighborhood business, or B3, which is, as you saw from the schematic that Mr. Sad put up, we've got B3, we've got B2. Now, what the judge also decided was that which is in that case, is that you can't treat the CVS property different than you could treat the Publix. The property surrounding CVS was commercial. That's what it should be used as. That's what this property should be used as. You can't treat Publix different than you can treat CVS. I propose you can't treat Publix different than you treat Mr. Sad's development. I think that at this point, I would suggest that this project is almost identical to CVS project, except, and no detriment to CVS, but this is going to be a much better looking building than CVS. And it's going to be easier to get to than CVS. The traffic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just one question.
Mr. Carroll.
Jerry, I had one question. I don't know what role you're playing in this. The de-acceleration zone, can you answer anything about the de-acceleration zone?
No, the acceleration zone?
De-acceleration, coming off the curve.
De-acceleration? I think Mr. Sad would probably be better to comment, or
is somebody else going to talk about it?
Yes, yes.
All right, I can wait.
Good morning, Julie Lenore, 44 Van Road, Suite 100, Birmingham, Alabama. I think you're asking about the right turn deceleration lane. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I had just one hang up. I couldn't
Okay.
visualize it when I went out there to look at it. When you make the turn off the university going towards the property eastbound,
Yes, sir.
that is a crazy corner all the time because there's no light regulating the right turn.
Correct.
There's also there's no traffic control that handles the lane changing and deacceleration of the two lanes to the left. So my question would be, at what point does the deacceleration lane start and the length of it? Because somebody's got to be able to get into it, especially with the traffic coming off the curve. And a lot of times when I was standing out there just looking at traffic comes off that curve at about 35 miles an hour. So how many car lengths is it in between the inlet to the deacceleration lane and then to the turn itself? Because that kind of helps me say yes or no. I mean,
Hang on just a second. Let me can I show you a graphic out of the report? That might help. If I can hold, can I hold that up? Can I push? Well, I'm going to say this and then I can hand it to you guys if you want to see it. This road right here, is University Boulevard. To the east, this is Airport Boulevard. So here is CVS. Here's Dogwood, where my pin is. And then this is the site. So this, just so you know, this is the right turn lane. It doesn't start until you get past Dogwood. There would be a 50-foot taper, and then the rest of that distance, which according to this scale would be, let me get my glasses.
Instead of 50-foot taper.
Taper, which is just the triangle. And then the turn length lane, full width, would be approximately about 125 feet, which is about 5 car lengths. So the point is for you to be able to get over into the turn lane so that you're out of the traffic, so that you can turn right into the development without stopping traffic on Airport Boulevard.
Gotcha.
Okay.
What's the speed of the turn lane?
Well, the speed limit on Airport is 45. Most people decelerate about 10 to 15 miles an hour. So if you know you're going to decelerate, you're going to turn, people start kind of slowing down, maybe 5 or 10 miles an hour. But that's why the taper is only 50 feet, so that the rest of that length can be full width, so that they can get over.
The radius into the bank is what I'm asking about.
We recommend 50 feet turning radius. Dwayne, Dwayne we recommend minimum 50 feet, but it might be 40. 50 feet is certainly ample.
How fast can the cars go in that turn radius is what I'm asking. How quickly are they getting off the street?
Well, the thing is they'll be in that lane, so probably about usually it's 9 to 15 is when you model it.
That's good. So Dwayne Smith, Anchor Engineering, 50 North Florida Street. Basically, that's a 50-foot turn radius going into the site. So it'll be a comfortable turn for a car turning into the site.
In my mind, I'm just looking at the traffic count and flow. How quickly are they getting off of Airport?
Yeah.
The neighbors are going to complain if it backs up. I'm so sorry. The neighbors would complain if it backs up, but in my mind, based on what you're telling me the design parameters are, there's really no need for them to back up because the rate in which they were getting off the street into the parking lot is just as fast as they are going down the street. And I think that's going to be their concern. So they need to understand is that cars coming off the street in the turn lane just as quick as they're going by in the other two lanes.
Yes, so they'll basically go straight into the turn lane. They'll do their deceleration there, and then the radius into the site. You can usually make that turn in a 15-mile-an-hour range up into the site as you continue to accelerate into the site.
The obvious is there's no conflict of coming and making a left-hand turn out of the site. Everything is moving together, right?
Did that answer your question?
All right.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
Okay, thank you.
Is anyone as present that would like to address the council on this particular said item?
Good morning. My name is Ashley Harrison. I've been coming for the last 3 weeks, and I'm gonna keep coming. You know, I was gonna wait my place in line, but after hearing what Mr. Sad and Jerry Spiegel, and I mean, what are y'all doing? I mean, I'm really just speechless, like, and disgusted. And I'm not going to say too much, but I can't. I will get upset, but what I was going to speak about, you know, you had people in here from Alta Point.
Ma'am, this is a public hearing.
I know it's a public hearing, but you made a proclamation for mental health. Why can't I speak about mental health?
This is a public hearing for this
Okay.
particular rezoning. If it don't have anything,
Well, I will be up here next week to talk
that's
about
fine.
mental health.
But we're talking about
Okay?
rezoning today.
Okay,
All right, you
the
can have a
zoning-
seat. You can have a seat. Thank
No.
you. Ma'am, if you're not up here to talk about the rezoning on Dogwood, you can have a seat.
You won't let me talk. But I'm so upset now, I don't even want to talk to you right now. So
Is there anyone else that's present that would like to talk about the rezoning on Dogwood for this public hearing?
Hey, good morning. Wanda Cochran, 465 Dauphin Street. I represent Steve Bailey, who is sitting here, and other neighbors who are interested in this issue. May is Preservation Month, and it's a great day to preserve a neighborhood. It's an old neighborhood. It is worthy of your protection. It is zoned single-family residential suburban subdistrict. And there's a lot that can be said, but I think the most important thing is that the power to zone is vested in the city council by both state law and local ordinance. The decision to rezone property is a legislative decision. This is not a mediation between the neighbors and a developer. This is about what is best for our city, not only in the short term, but in the long term. There is nothing that has happened to this neighborhood which would warrant a rezoning other than the fact that a developer has managed to come in and acquire properties on speculation. It's my understanding that he does not own this property, that it is the sale of these properties are contingent on the rezoning. And in addition to acquiring these properties that are on the edge of the neighborhood, there apparently has been an effort to modify the private covenants in the neighborhood. Now, anyone in urban development will tell you that legislative matters are not subject to private real estate covenants. So regardless of what the neighbors have said, this is a decision about the public interest. There's lots of arguments to be made about the balance of what's good for the public. But I would suggest to you that the best way to figure out the issue is to look at what the law says about this. The zoning code that we have, the Unified Development Code, is new. 2 years ago, this council made the decision that this area was to be zoned residential. It also made the decision that it would have different standards for how these decisions are made. And one of the most important criteria is that any changes need to be consistent with the comprehensive plan. We have a lot of plans in this city, and you can say a lot, you can pull parts and pieces to support your point of view, but I would tell you that the most important thing about the plan is the description of what is a low-density residential suburban zone. It is residential. There is nothing in the comp plan that says residential neighborhoods should be zoned for business. Now, there are reasons to rezone sometimes. And this neighborhood at some point in the future the council may determine that it is time to rezone. It is not the time to rezone this neighborhood. And the reason it's not time is there has not been any specific planning for this intersection. We have a general comprehensive plan. We have no specific studies. And I would suggest to you that if you think this neighborhood should go business, whether the dominoes fall to the east or whether they fall to the south, we know from experience under our old ordinance, the way the old ordinances were done, we know from experience that if a rezoning is done just at the request of a developer, that sends a clear signal that the dominoes are ready to fall. The bottom line is that zoning is for a public purpose, and zoning is the public control of private property. My clients have property rights that are equal to or better than the intervening real estate developer. And if you are going to allow a developer to come in and piecemeal pick off pieces of a neighborhood for business development, the very least you can do is demand that it be done in accordance with a specific study for that neighborhood. Otherwise, you've got the tail wagging the dog. You've got private interests that are making public policy decisions. That's all I have.
Question or comment from the council?
Yes, sir, Mr. President.
Mr. Reynolds.
Reference was made to the CVS property on the corner and it being overthrown in court. Because you are the attorney, can you tell me the articulable basis for, say, this desperate treatment, say, treating the CVS differently than these lots in regards to the substantial relationship rule or the fairly debatable rule?
Sure. Real estate is a lot like people. Each parcel is different and each parcel has a different history. If you examine Judge Stout's opinion, I think the statement that was made is that the argument being made is that this site is the functional equivalent of the CVS site. It's not. The staff report that he read from, if you read that one, talked about how the street design differentiates the CVS from this site. And that's a huge deal, because remember, there's lots of ways to protect neighborhoods from inappropriate development. And there's no question this development is not suitable for a neighborhood. One of the ways you do that is through buffering, and there's been a lot of talk about that, but I don't think you can buffer your way out of this. CVS, one of the considerations was, if you look at Dogwood Lane Drive, there's another street named Dogwood Lane. If you look at Dogwood Drive, that is in fact a buffer. That is a neighborhood residential street. If you allow this rezoning, Dogwood Drive is going to be turned into a service road. That is not a neighborhood business that's going in there. It may be beautiful, but it has it's designed to pull traffic and take advantage of that through traffic on Airport Boulevard.
Ms. Cochran, so I've got the street design differentiates itself from the CVS property. Was there any other general health, safety, or public welfare items that sort of differentiates itself from CVS?
Yeah,
okay.
I mean,
like property values, and anything, noise,
all of it. And my clients are here, many and other people who will speak to this. But the most recent planning that has been done for this particular street shows it residential. And the only thing that's happening here to change that is that some developer, and I'm not throwing shade here at all. It can be a fine development. The only thing is we've got an intervening outside force coming in to disrupt existing conditions.
Thank you, Ms. Cochran.
Mr. President.
Anyone else?
Mr. President.
Yes, Mr.
This is a question for Ms. Biko or Ms. Pappas. Kind of looking at the current submission, the current layout, the current plan, do show that de-escalated zone or that lane. on the top coming off the airport. But at the moment, we're looking at I guess a plan where we're not throwing traffic onto Dogwood Drive anymore, are we? Is that fair to say?
It's not a site plan specific approval. It's a rezoning. Now, with the
You can a little bit closer to the mic.
Okay. Is this better? Yes. But with the rezoning, it does have to comply with the traffic engineering comments as they relate to the traffic study. And as I recall, they do not have direct access to Airport Boulevard. Their access is via Dogwood.
The reason why we're asking that question is because the exits onto airport into the acceleration lane with the de-acceleration lane coming up to a curb cut curb coming into the property. There's no egress going out on the Dogwood. It all comes in and out from airport unless that drawing that you guys sent is wrong.
Okay. The drawing that was submitted that is in your packet, or at least the staff report from November 16th, it does show access to airport. However, if you look at the traffic engineering comments, which relate to the traffic study, there is, and this may be what you were discussing earlier, Councilmember Carroll. There is.
I was trying to figure it out because you said it was a 50-foot buffer, and I was thinking that you're cutting into the property and moving the de-acceleration lane further south, getting it out of the actual traffic flow. I don't know what's happening up here. It shows a turn lane coming off of the airport, turning across.
That turn lane is there. That is a current existing condition.
But you're turning across 2 lanes of traffic into a parking lot with 2 lanes of traffic coming on with no type of light or control there, and a deceleration zone and an acceleration zone coming out into it. There's actually no control there.
I'm going to let somebody else discuss the traffic comments, but I will say that direct curb cut as currently configured and recommended, that direct curb cut to airport is not allowed. It all has to go to Dogwood.
Well, that's not what the rendering showing.
Staff comments, I think.
Are there, let me ask a question. There are objections according to what she has stated. Is she also representing you also? You can come down here. Oh, hold on for 1 second. Let's hear from Jennifer first. Ms. White, I'm sorry.
There is a right-in, right-out driveway to Airport Boulevard. What we eliminated was the cut across Airport Boulevard, a left turn lane. We eliminated that because it did not line up correctly with the driveway, and there really is not room for an additional turn lane along that section of Airport Boulevard.
Is that the existing left-hand turn lane you eliminated?
No, there was a proposal for a new turn lane.
So we're still allowing the left-hand turn lane going west across 2 lanes of 55
to Dogwood?
No, into the parking lot.
No, that has
right here.
Hasn't been eliminated. That was the city's comments, and we eliminated that left turn cut across Airport Boulevard.
But we're allowing an immediate right-hand turn back into Airport Boulevard.
Yes, it's a right in, right out only. There's no left access from airport.
So the left turn, if you're going west, I think the easiest way to do this, if you're going west on airport, the way you access the property is turn left at the existing cut onto Dogwood, and then there would be a cut on Dogwood into the property.
That's correct.
It just doesn't show that on the.
Yeah,
on the
I
rendering I'm
mean,
looking
either, your choice is either to turn onto Dogwood from that existing cut or do a U-turn at the main intersection and then go in through the right in, right out driveway on Airport.
What if you're at the property and you want to go west on Airport? What do you
can't.
do then?
at. Can't do it.
You can't.
You cannot. You'd have to take a right and make a U-turn somewhere on Airport.
Go back down Dogwood and
You
get back on University.
No, you can't do that. There's no access to University.
Yeah, down at the other
No,
end.
no,
of the
no.
street.
The driveway is to be designed much like the CVS one where you can't make a left out of it from Dogwood.
Okay.
It is a right out only on Dogwood. It's a left in, but a right out only to prevent them from going back into the neighborhood.
So you're taking the traffic pressure off of the neighborhood and issuing it right
Trying to
back on
keep
the
it out of the
airport.
neighborhood completely.
What are we
yes.
going to do what would you do at airport to kill the congestion right there with the deacceleration zone, the high traffic, the light being less than 50 yards away?
Well, yeah, we're looking at, so part of the RTOP program is once we have all the signals in the system, in the Centrac system, is we're looking at additional projects. We actually have one of the professors at University of South Alabama looking at that particular intersection with us right now, because ideally we would like to get projects that do more access management to the intersections, not just the signal timing problems, so that we go in there and things like that wide right swing lane where you have to look behind you really and you don't see the traffic that may be already in front of you, is to eliminate those wide swing lanes and put in more traditional right turns because they're safer. They are slower, so it takes out that high speed right turn and slows it down. And then it does put a little more on the intersection, but with the new timing and detections and stuff like that, that should be eliminated through those methods. But we want to do projects like that eliminate some of those, because we have some of those all over Airport Boulevard that we would like to eliminate. And so the next kind of group of projects after we get RTOP is almost substantially completed is to come back with projects like that. And so we're developing a matrix to look at the different intersections, the ones that'll give us the biggest bang for our buck and making improvements. And that's what South, the professor, Dr. King at South, is helping us with, is developing that matrix so that we can look at those intersections and eliminate some of that stuff. But, I mean, that's an existing situation. That's not going to change. And then by them providing the right turn lane, they're at least getting that traffic out of the roadway and letting them slow down onto that deceleration lane and not making that turn directly off Airport Boulevard.
Another question, Mr. Carroll? And no questions, comments from this council? Is anyone else here present that would like to address the council on this particular public hearing?
Is this working? Yeah, great. Steve Bailey, 4671 Oak Ridge Road, just a quarter mile from this zone. I've spoken to the committee before, and I'm not going to reiterate the complex web of interactions that occur at this intersection. And I think that you heard the people from the developer even admitting that this is a really difficult spot. And maybe there's some things that they could do to affect the airport and university intersection that would make it safer, because it really needs it. And I would like to suggest we do those things first before considering making the whole thing even more complex with this development. And really, I'm not going to go through all of my previous comments. I think you probably heard them, and they're pretty obvious. But I'd like to say just one other thing, and that is, in 1982, when I moved to Mobile, I had the choice of either going to the University of Hawaii or the University of South Alabama. And you might think I'm crazy, but I chose Mobile. And that's because there are spots in Mobile that are just as lush for single-family residents, and I don't want those destroyed, and in particular, this spot. Thank you.
Is there anyone else present that would like to address the council on this particular public hearing?
I'm Kathy O'Keefe. I live at 5713 Vendome Drive South in Regency. 40 years at this intersection, plus having taught at South for almost 40 years. Your sensibilities, like, is this really a good idea? How fast that traffic's going, are absolutely well-founded. Yesterday, I sat in the turn lane, the westbound turn lane, to get onto University off of Airport. And there were cars in that turn lane trying to turn onto Dogwood Drive. It backed up at 4:30 in the afternoon. All the cars that were trying to get down to Grelot Road and get west. And then people get mad. And now they're trying to bypass those cars that are stopped to turn on Dogwood. You got 100 parking places in what is essentially a non-essential business. This plan is not essential to our neighborhood. It does not contribute to our neighborhood any kind of, it's not like a Publix. It's an office park that just happens to want to locate at the mouth of a residential neighborhood. So you really need to keep that in mind. I'm concerned about public safety, not just the traffic, although that would be the immediate big scare for me. And that may be posted 45 miles an hour, but when you make that turn, and you make it fast, because all the cars that are coming north on University to turn east on Airport are barreling down behind you trying to make the light. You have to think about the whole thing, not just that little tiny area and how you might change that turn lane and make them go all the way to the light pole and then turn. It doesn't work like that. You've got people coming up University North. They are trying to get east. And to put another 100-space parking lot worth of business at that location is nuts. And you know it's nuts because you hesitated trying to figure out, what are we doing here? How do you get into this lane and then out of that lane? And then coming out and trying to go west, you're going to cross all lanes of traffic and make a U-turn in one of the hardest places to make a U-turn in the city of Mobile. The stacking lane there is short, and yes, maybe they'll lengthen it, but it isn't going to be enough to get the rear ends of cars sufficiently out of the way before the people who are trying to come east down Airport have to encounter a car crossing the entire Airport Boulevard to then make a U-turn. It's nuts. And trust your sensibilities that it's nuts. I'm also here because I lost my home in Midtown due to poor planning about flood control and surface street water and all that kind of thing. We could have several conversations about that. But Jackson Heights is changing. People want to subdivide their properties and increase the density in Jackson Heights, and that's going to be more runoff. It's very steep. And when people talk about what is the unique thing about that location, it is the steepness of that section of Airport Boulevard from University down the hill to Azalea. There is no other place with such a huge demand of traffic with that kind of steepness. So all this talk about, well, it's just like everything else on Airport Boulevard. It is not like everything else on Airport Boulevard. It is absolutely unique. I am begging you to rethink this. The plan isn't well developed enough. We don't really even have a plan. They're asking you to rezone and I'll figure out the plan, the specifics of it later. That's a bad idea. They put up there on the screen all this rezoned area. Mr. Bailey has bought the property on University Boulevard to try to protect it as residential. We don't have a lot of residents with that kind of commitment to try to keep down this incredibly dense traffic. So I applaud Mr. Bailey for his effort, and I join him in saying it doesn't all have to be commercial. Doesn't all have to be commercial. Think of the steepness of that piece of length of street, and God, do the right thing for the public safety interests of our citizens. Thanks.
Is there anyone else present that would like to address the council?
Good morning. Evan Duffy, 272 Summit Drive. I hope y'all bear with me. My voice is going on me, but this is important enough that I felt like I'd power through and come down. So you've heard from me before about my concerns about the development around the increase in traffic, and I understand the traffic studies and all that theoretical stuff, but I live there. Our neighborhood, Summit Drive, Hillview, and Hillcrest makes a horseshoe. So we have 2 points of ingress and egress from our neighborhood. There are times of the day that I spend 10 minutes trying to get out onto Airport Boulevard because of the timing of the lights, people pulling out of the CVS, out of Dogwood. Adding another point of outlet to that traffic flow will eliminate one of my lucky gaps for getting out into that traffic. So traffic's an issue, noise is an issue. I can't have a sane, rational conversation at this speaking voice in my backyard at times of the day because of the noise that has increased since the CVS development. I'm also concerned about safety. As you can see from the maps that the developer shared, our backyards would back up to this development. So whereas there's a safety issue when you have the front of your house facing a business, I'd say that is enhanced when you have the back of your house, so the blind side of your house facing that business. So I'm concerned about that. I'm glad he shared the map because you could see on that map, we heard a lot about changing conditions, and you could see that where I live was buffered on all sides from noise from University and Airport, from the businesses and subsequent noise there, from the other concerns that go along with development. With his plan, those changing conditions are going to end up in my backyard, and that's not a changing condition that I'm willing to live with. It adversely affects my property value. It's where I've raised my kids. I'm just disturbed by the creep of development along that area. This is a neighborhood that's been around since 1955, my neighborhood. My grandmother's house was the first on the street, and we've had someone living in that house in my family since then. So almost 80 years. I don't see the sense in adding another development, as beautiful as it may be, to that part and disrupting a neighborhood that has that kind of history and sense of community. As you can see, my neighbors are here today to fight this. We are a true community. We also heard a lot about the beauty of the building and how wonderful a development this is. You know what I think is beautiful? Old growth oak trees, mid-century homes on acre-sized lots, community, neighbors, seeing people walk their dogs and talking to them at the mailboxes. That's what I think is beautiful. Another office building that in 5 years will be vacant like half the other buildings on Airport Boulevard just doesn't strike me as the aesthetic that I think we want to see in our city. It's definitely not the aesthetic I want to see in my neighborhood. So I'll yield the rest of my time because my voice is clicking out on me, but thank y'all so much for hearing this, and I hope you choose to side with us. Thank you.
Is anyone as president that would like to address the council?
Good morning, almost afternoon. Rebecca Bowen, 265 Dogwood Drive. I am property adjacent to the proposed building. I really just to kind of repeat what I'd said the first time, my huge concern is when we bought this house 2 years ago, I had no idea that we were going to be living next to a 14,000 square foot building that, while yes, Mr. Sad has posted it, with the fence and all the trees and all of that, but trees don't just grow 20, 30 feet in 1 year. I mean, like, we're talking about years of my privacy being taken away. I mean, I told you I have a 2-year-old son who runs around half naked in the backyard playing. I mean, that's why we bought our house, the privacy, the location of our lot, the location of the house in general. And I mean, we're concerned about our property value. We bought the house in a neighborhood, not with 14,000 square feet next door. The other thing that I've driven down there in the afternoons, there are kids playing on the street. I know that they say that they're not going to make a left-hand turn going to Dogwood, but go and watch CVS. People turn right out of CVS all the time. Same things I'm concerned about is going to happen from there. They're going to turn left onto Dogwood. You can bypass those cones. Half the cones are already knocked down on CVS all the time. So I guess it's really just kind of, and sound, that is going to be huge. We sit outside playing all the time. I want to be able to hear my kid yelling for me in the backyard. I don't want to hear all the noise from the building itself and just what noise is going to be added once everything's taken down. Thank you.
Good morning. Let me take these off. I'm Candy Robin, 317 Dogwood Drive. I'm 8 homes from the site, and I am opposed to the request to rezone. When we spoke at the last council meeting on April the 2nd, I felt we did a fair job conveying why this request should be denied. So today I'd simply like to do a quick recap. Anyone who is even vaguely familiar with the southeast corner of Airport and University should note that Government Street Highlands has always fought to maintain our status as residential neighborhood. Something as important as removing one's restrictive covenants should have been a major topic of conversation, and all homeowners should have been given a fair opportunity of input. Mr. Sad has made sure to state that all the homeowners voted to remove the residential restrictions or covenants, and had that not occurred, we wouldn't even be here. So I'd like to take the opportunity to clarify. All the homeowners did not vote, and prior to the July 2023 meeting with Mr. Sad, many of us were unaware this had occurred. Interestingly, the same properties which were under contract to become a new parcel, which is now CVS, were counted, so that's 4 votes right off the bat. There were 2 homeowners counted who owned 5 parcels, 1 home, 1 on a double lot, 1 home on a triple lot. So instead of the typical 1 vote per homeowner, they received 5. 1 property received a vote for the parcel and 1 vote for a teeny little strip of land that would be the sidewalk easement on University, and that was one time owned by the city of Mobile. 1 property was claimed by a developer as his own, but actually belongs to Mr. Stouter, a longtime resident, so that counted as a vote. I can tell you each and every property that was counted as a yes, and I can probably tell you why, but as to say that all the homeowners voted is wrong, as 28 of us were not given an opportunity of a say. Mr. Sad has followed all the written protocols that the city has set forth and will say that the site meets the criteria. It doesn't, as we are zoned R1, a residential neighborhood. All 3 homes on this proposed property are currently and have been occupied for years. If the Build Mobile future land use map shows the area remaining residential, and in 2018 the Planning Commission denied another project very similar in nature, then what has changed since 2018? I think it's fair to say that those of us who actually reside in the neighborhood believe that we should have a reasonable amount of influence when it comes to making any major change to the conditions that will directly affect us. A large portion of residents and the community are expressing concerns and should be heard. At our last neighborhood meeting, Mr. Sad said, with Mr. Sad, he proposed a median cut from westbound Airport to enter into the complex. And he also proposed that if permitted, he would have no access to Dogwood Drive, or at the very least, a locked gate for emergency personnel if required. Now I see that he's proposed instead that all westbound traffic actually U-turn at Airport and University intersection, cross quickly 3 lanes to turn into Dogwood. So already there have been a couple of changes unknown to us. It causes one to wonder, what else? The council asked some thought-provoking questions to Mr. Sad at the April 2nd meeting, and I would encourage you to continue this trend today. We do not need a business center here. Let us instead preserve the neighborhood, our homes, the beautiful landscaping. Please support, please protect us today and deny this request and maintain this area as residential. Thank you. Any questions?
Questions, council, comments?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. Brown.
I'd just like to remind the chairman that the rebuttal is allowed for the applicant of 2 minutes at the end of this.
Hi, my name is Christy Trout. I live at 280 Summit Drive. My street is to the east of Dogwood Drive. The concerns that I have is primarily traffic and safety concerns. I myself have been involved in a rear-ended coming off of University Boulevard because people are not looking and they're trying to accelerate onto Airport. I don't know, living there for almost 25 years now, that the deacceleration lane, I do have real concern with that because people are typically accelerating coming off of Airport or off of University onto Airport, and probably once a week you can look in the rearview mirror and I'm 2 streets down from this and see that someone's not paying attention and you almost get rear-ended. So that's a real concern. The environmental impact with all of the proposed building showed almost 65% of parking space. We already have a ponding issue on Airport Boulevard in front of this because you're coming down and there's a dip. And even with the CVS having a retention pond that met or exceeds the current regulations, it's not enough. The ponding on Airport is real. I showed this at the last time, but this is June 9th, 2018. This is just one example. And this is just an afternoon rainstorm. And this is after CVS was built. So I believe there needs to be some further planning for this intersection before we approve business and rezone. There's office space behind the Wells Fargo there at University, just across from Publix. It's all run down because you can't access it. CVS, it's very difficult to access the CVS. There's not a lot of traffic going into CVS because it's not accessible, not easily accessible. So we're going to add another office building, regardless if it's attractive, and it's a different parcel of land, and it's not a good idea. And then lastly, I will just say, very concerned about the noise. And since CVS, I mean, you can't go out on your back porch or your back patio and enjoy an evening by the grill or have friends over because, it's just constant cars running up and down with the loud motors. So I'm also concerned about my neighbors whose backyards, and I'm one lot away from the back of this proposed development. My neighbors who can't go out by their pool and enjoy their pool or their patio because you have light pollution from a parking lot. The only neighbors in between Government Street Highlands and Hillview Estates, which is Dogwood and Summit, that are for this is the 3 that are wanting to sell their property. And they said, I think it was submitted to you guys or to the Planning Commission, that they were in favor of it because they didn't want to see the back of CVS. So I would ask you to oppose this at this time without further planning and a hydrology study to address the issue with ponding on Airport. It's a real safety concern.
Mr. President, do you mind giving me your name and address again?
Christy Trout, 280 Summit Drive.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else?
No other questions? Thank you. Is anyone else that's present that would like to address the council on this particular public hearing? Would you like a rebuttal?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank everybody for showing up today and voicing their thoughts. That's always a good thing. A couple of things. First of all, one of the ladies said that I pledge not to have Dogwood Drive exit. No, if you go to the restrictive covenants that I turned in, the voluntary restrictive covenants, it says specifically, if the city does not allow the westbound turn lane, then that's the only time that I would pursue a Dogwood. The city actually approved a full turning lane onto Dogwood. That is left out, left in, right in. I put the restriction in there that it would be a right out, left in only. I did that. So the restrictive covenants that I put on this spells out very clearly, and that was given to them early on. Next, I don't know what somebody is looking at, the steep road on Airport Boulevard. The Airport Boulevard starts to drop off a good ways from this site. It's not right there at this site. You can go out there and see that for yourself. A couple of things that are very important. So if you see here, here's the turning lane right here. Turning in, out. As I said, this is a right out, left in only. There was some confusion because initially, the initial submittal was to avoid Dogwood, but get that left in from across the road, which did not conflict with the turning lanes that are there. Let's go back to the left-hand turn. There's been discussion about, are people going to come down the turning lane, then turn on to Dogwood, then turn in? I sat here last time and said, you need to put a curb there. There needs to be some sort of deterrent for people to make a left-hand turn in Dogwood. And I even said, and I'll stand by it, if y'all want to put a curb there, I'll pay for it with this project. That will keep people from turning into Dogwood right there. The U-turn at University Boulevard, that intersection is designed for a U-turn just like many other places up and down Airport Boulevard. Finally, there's got to be a right turn only sign there.
One second. Council, can I grant him 3 minutes more to just to complete it since he had a bunch to rebuttal? That's okay. Got 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
That would just require a majority vote of the council.
Yeah.
So I move to extend the time by 3 minutes.
Okay. Go.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. When it comes to what is appropriate and what is not, the city worked hard to get a comprehensive plan, to give us guidance. And it's a good comprehensive plan. We followed that comprehensive plan to the letter. I mean, I'm confident we've done that. Buffers do matter. We did add substantial buffers that go from 20 feet to 60 feet. We do have a quality project. And by the way, this stuff about vacant building, my entire portfolio, I don't have 3% vacancy and haven't had 3% vacancy. So my point is, we know how to manage properties properly so that they can serve the public the way they're supposed to serve. This site is designed for a B1 zoning to abut residential neighborhood and protect them from commercial. That's a fact. That's in the ordinance. I'll take any questions. I'll bring my team down. I believe this is a really good project and a high quality project too.
Any questions or comments from the council? Ms. Brown, good? All right, thank you. This concludes the public hearing on this particular said item. Madam Clerk.
Public hearing to consider a modification of a previously approved planned unit development for property located at 3674 and 3680 Dolphin Street.
This opened up the public hearing for this particular said item. Is anyone present that would like to address the council on this item? If not, this public hearing is closed.
Public hearing to declare the structure at 2434 Redmond Street a public nuisance and order it demolished.
This open up the public hearing for this particular said item. Is anyone present that would like to address the council on this item? If not, this particular public hearing is closed.
Presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. Mr. Rooks.
William Rooks, 1820 Canebrake Court North. I am the chair of the Mobile Tree Commission. Just want to say thank you for the opportunity to come talk and kind of give you some updates of where the Tree Commission's been, where we're at now, and where we're going. So for those of you who don't know, the Mobile Tree Commission goes all the way back to state legislature, all the way back in 1961. So it's been a fixture in this community. Our objectives are pretty straightforward. Objectives really are to educate the public on the economic value of trees, to promote the planting of trees, to promote the health and of preserving of current trees, as well as to protect trees in the right-of-way. Going back 2 or 3 years, I can safely say as a commission, we were probably struggling to do any of those objectives. We reached a point with change in both the city council as well as resignations. We had 4 members and barely could keep quorum. We had changeover in the city staff as well that made some of our functions difficult. And we had somewhat of a deteriorating relationship with city leadership at the time. But since that point, we've really had an opportunity. So since then, we currently have 7 full members. So we have a full appointment to the commission. We also have 3 certified arborists who actually sit on the commission or are part of our group. The other thing we've done is we've worked very closely with the Urban Forestry Department as well, with liaisons with them. We work closely with Alabama Power, and we've met probably 8 times out of the last 12 years. There is some discussion we don't meet. Bylaws specifically say if we don't have an open permit, as a consensus, we can cancel those meetings, and we will just to save some time. The projects we're working on, one of the things that we're looking to go forward is we've done a lot of collaboration with various groups as well. So we've got both some of the colleges at some of the areas as well. We've been able to plant fruit trees. We had the dedication of the Mobile Tree Trail. We've worked with the Boy Scouts. We've worked with various groups. We've also worked with city legal to clearly define where we could take donations as well as what we could do with the tree bank. I do want to address one point here, just as I can wrap it up. There has been some correspondence of our relationship with the Friends of Mobile Tree. All I'll say is we've had open dialogue with them. It's not always been an agreement. What we found is both groups somewhat parallel each other. We both have funds we're looking to expend, and we're looking for ready-to-shovel projects that had, labor together. The Tree Commission currently right now has $25,000 in the tree bank, another $11,000 coming in. So we're looking for those opportunities. So that was kind of the conflict. Both groups had funds, but no way really to work to go forward. We do have opportunities now. We're going to look at supporting groups who look at the right-of-way to get those permits as well as labor as well. So I'll just leave it from there. We have a lot of good projects going forward, and I'll take any questions you may have.
Council, any question or comments? Mr. Carroll?
Mr. Rooks, I made comments last week. I guess my question is can you help him plant the trees?
Yeah, so.
Thank you. Enough said. Help him plant the trees.
I will always try to work with people who are passionate about planting trees. It's a great part of our city. You may disagree how you get there, but it's always good to work with people who have the same passion. We will help to plant the trees.
Thank you.
Ms. Gregory?
Thank you for for coming down and providing an update for us. We appreciate that. And you've answered a lot of the questions. So another one that has come up is, does the Tree Commission itself plant trees?
We do not specifically ourselves. In the past, our best collaborations we have, there's 2 groups that come to mind, the Village of Spring Hill and the Mobile Downtown Alliance. We have provided templates to groups to show how you can get funds to get trees planted. Both those groups have brought plans already set up, how many trees they want, what labor they have, and when they're going to plant. At that case, we have worked as a tree bank donation and donated money to those groups. We provided that same process to the Boy Scouts, to one individual Eagle Scout himself. He followed that pattern and within a few months had money provided and planted fruit trees at Murphy High School as well as charities as well. We had that roadmap. I do believe going forward, we're going to work on continuing to get ways to help people with the right-of-way planning. We'll use a certified arborist to offer that, but we do not have any particular labor ourselves to provide. The city can provide that, but then you have to wait on the timeline of their personnel, and that can be a challenge. They have a quite healthy backlog.
Okay, and just a follow-up to that, when you do contribute funds to the various groups,
Yes.
and the groups, because they want to plant trees,
Yes.
do they then get the permits, or do you, the Tree Commission, get the permits?
In the past, those groups have already come with right-of-way application permits approved. So that was the function. We are looking at ways we can help groups with that process. But right now, we have not done that ourselves.
I think that's all. Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
David Clark.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, City Council, Mayor, Administration, David Clark with Visit Mobile. I'm here to report the 2023 tourism numbers for Mobile, produced by the State Department of Tourism of Alabama. Last year, we saw 3.4 million visitors, a 3% increase. Our tourists spent $1.8 billion in Mobile with a B. That's up $100 million from the previous year. Visit Mobile team booked a record 112,000 convention room nights for future years. Our goal of 5 million visitors by 2027 is aggressive and obtainable. I think all the great things that you're doing with respect to these major things like the Mobile International Airport, the Civic Center Arena Complex, the continued waterfront development, the Heritage Tourism Asset Development, the Convention Center upgrades, the cruise, the air service, and Amtrak development and promotions. Those are all really key drivers. This and other development opportunities have us looking into the future of what to expect, and we will expect a monumental spike in tourism beginning in 2026 for many years after that as a result of these things. Lastly, and equally critical, the Tourism Improvement District that will hopefully be renewed this fall. It's the best tourism public-private partnership that I think a city could ever have. This is our 5th year. We were the first in the state to do that, thanks to your approval, and others are trying to do it. They're looking at us as the subject matter experts in the city to emulate. So the competition is high, the stakes are high. We have been able to tell Mobile's tourism story and the story better than ever before as a result of this partnership. We need your TID support again this fall. We need the continued investment and the marketing and resources to promote Mobile. We thank the City Council, the Mayor and the Administration, our hotels, our hospitality community, our partners in the city and the county, and of course, our Visit Mobile board and team. So thank you for your support.
Any questions or comments from the council? I do have one question. Mr. Dave, thanks so much for the report. So this is a state report, correct?
Yes.
So what's the ranking of tourism? I mean,
So the city of Mobile outperformed every major city in the state of Alabama with the number of visitor increase, the number of visitors that came and stayed in the hotel, and the percent increase in 2023.
But what was the number one city, the top 3?
Baldwin County, 8 million visitors that spent $8 billion. But their growth was 0.1% year over year. There was a slowdown.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sabrina Mass.
Sabrina Mass. I'm here today to talk about continued investigations into the Chief Prine situation. I would like to know where we're at this moment with that investigation. And I have a question. I went back and looked at the committee meeting, and I see where this was supposed to be apparently about an outside entity doing the investigation. And I see where District 4 said, and correct me if I'm wrong, where you said the Sheriff Birch gave you, he said that he referred someone. That leaves that. See, that's what I'm talking about. We said someone that has no connections, no one knows anybody, but yet you have invoked the sheriff into referring someone. See, that's that stuff we're talking about, why we don't trust this stuff. If it's going to be an outside entity, let it be that outside. No one, nothing, nada. So this is the problem that the community keeps saying we have no trust, because every time it seems like it's always some word play. That's why we as citizens have to continue to go back, really, really listen to what people are saying. And the council, you are supposed to represent the people, the taxpayers, not cheerleading for the mayor. He has his own cheerleading team over here. You're supposed to be cheerleading for the taxpayers. So this investigation, again, it's shaky, because why would the sheriff even be invoked into saying he referred anyone? That's not outside entity. I mean, do I need to bring a definition of entity and outside? I mean, y'all got to keep it real with us. We just asking for transparency, realness, and truth. That's it. That's all. And that is not anything far fabricated to ask for. That's just basic integrity. Basic. I mean, y'all really think we really want to come up here? I get so tired of coming up here with the same thing over and over, but I got to. We have to. Somebody has to be the voice. So I would like someone to explain to me where the investigation is at this moment, and whoever this Sheriff Paul Birch, nothing against Sheriff Birch. I have nothing against him, but when you say outside entity, that means no one in the mix of anything to do with Mobile, Alabama. Y'all listen to what you're saying, and then y'all wonder why we question these things, because you're questionable. That's why. So guess what? And just for the record, everybody has something to do in this. And pitiful to the people and the citizens that they have not gotten more involved in their civic government to keep a check and balances, as some of us keep coming here to try to do. But that's okay. So I would like to know where we are in this investigation. Thank you.
Mr. President.
Mr. President.
Mr. Reynolds, then I can't remember who the second person was. But Mr. Reynolds first.
I just want to set the record straight and keep it real with you. All right. The sheriff did make a recommendation, but we decided as a council that we wouldn't take that recommendation because of potential conflicts. So I hope that resolves that matter for you. And the other folks we are considering, we had them do a conflict review, which is underway. Currently, 2 parties are conducting a conflict review, which we hope to have back very soon. And as soon as we do, we will be able to set a budget. We will be able to have a list of their qualifications to make sure they're the right people for the job. And of course, they'll be conflict-free. And if there is some sort of conflict with them, we would be able to illustrate precisely where that line falls so that we'll make sure that we have a truly disinterested party. So I hope that sets it straight, and I hope I kept it real with you.
Mr. Woods?
I just want to echo what Mr. Reynolds said. You know, unfortunately, unless you're a mind reader, you don't know what's in a man's heart. And like we said before, Ms. Mass, we are trying our best to ensure that there is an independent third party. There's a lot of accusations that are going around, a lot of names that I'm being called, and others up here being called. Fair. We knocked on doors, we asked for it. But just so you know, you don't know what's in a man's heart. We're doing our best to ensure there's an independent third party. That's why we're taking our time and we're not rushing into things. You know, we're dating people to make sure that that the marriage is going to work out. So I can assure you, the 2 parties or the 2 groups we're looking at, Birmingham and out of Huntsville. Again, we're waiting for one more report to come back to make sure there's no conflict of interest. It's in our heart to ensure that this is done appropriately and correctly. So hopefully that'll help. And anything you can do to calm down the accusations, mainly on social media, would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Rena Chapa.
Good afternoon. I'm Renee Chapa. Just to iterate what Sabrina Mass was asking about how the investigation is coming along. And I had a question about if we get in a third entity, an outside entity to come in, why are we setting a protocol on how to do the investigation and what gets investigated? An investigation, I thought you lay out all the facts, no matter what bombs come out. Let's see if they explode or if they're duds. I'm still confused why we didn't let the chief stay in his position, but we're moving forward with the investigation. Was getting happy about that, but what I don't want is to control the investigation. That's not being transparent. So I'm just asking for transparency in this, and I'm putting my trust in it, but I don't want collusion as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Mr. Carroll.
First of all, in response to your question, we can only investigate the aired accusations that were made in public and that we know of or that have been accused of happening. I'm not going to go looking for boogers. I don't want to stick my finger that far up my nose or anybody else's. So if you're asking for us to go look for bombs in other places, that's not going to happen. I would think that the scope of work would be only involved in those accusations that were made publicly and that we know of and that were said. Beyond that, I don't know of anything. To answer your question.
Madam Clerk.
Reggie Hill.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. No punchlines and famous quotes today. Just want to put some things on the record dealing with calling for these committee meetings, rules, public safety, and finance. To the citizens and stakeholders of Mobile, good afternoon. Reggie Hill is my name. Let's look at the rules piece while we should be going back. Can we find a reason, or can we ensure that a proxy is in place or that votes are already counted? Because we've seen 2 weeks in a row where individuals come and get on the roll, but then they leave. So they're still getting paid now, but not here to vote on the serious matters that are taking place. The conducting of these public hearings, like responding after people sit down, because then you can just talk about whatever you want to talk about. It don't have to be true, but because we've already sat down, we'll be escorted out by the police. We seem to be going out of order here. The informal responses, we had some people, they're not here to defend themselves, so hopefully you can share this with them. But they're talking about putting things in writing and all these types of things. Well, we put stuff in writing and nothing happens. But that's why we want to have these things here at the on the record by the podium, at the mic. So we need to maybe put something in there for that as well. And can we set a cap? Because the state law says that a legislative body will be the ones who call or have to have the hearing for an impeachment. Can we set a cap on the needed signatures so that we can guarantee that the hearing will at least be held? Because, you know, regardless if you get thousands of signatures, then you can all determine if you still want to have the hearing or not. And lastly, can we, for the rules piece, is it possible that we can guarantee when we're determining employment for city employees that we have a roll call vote? I want to thank WPMI because they had the most clear broadcast of this. But when they put out in the public as it was a unanimous decision about terminating the chief, only 3 people voices were on the record. 2 people didn't even move their mouths at all. One person leaned up to the mic as if he was going to say something, but nothing came out. Now, there were 2 people who moved their lips, but nothing happened. Something that serious. We're saying we don't rush into these things, but I mean, we went pretty quickly with determining that. So we can have the rules put in place, we can have the roll call vote. You know the time is not enough, so I'm going to do my best to rush through these pieces about public safety. I'm so glad to see some of the participants from Success for the Future here. For years, we've been the only youth-based organization to bring people here aside from proclamations and rewards and things. But maybe we can have like how the country's congressional figures have witnesses to come to these committee meetings, so we don't have a lot of time up here. Maybe we can get these people who actually feet on the ground who know what's going on to come and present before you all how we best utilize our resources to eradicate these conflicting issues we see within our communities. We got the week. We saw even since the termination, it has continued to increase and skyrocket. If we look back at the year to date, we are far beyond what we were this time last year, even with these homicides. And school is not fully out. Just keep those things in mind. With the finance piece, 25, there's 417, 31, that's 435. We have these contracts with Alabama Power, the U.S. Treasury, there are hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars of things that are not even itemized on the agenda. And then it's saying that we need $800K to guarantee one of the contracts, but the allotment is coming for $900K. So what is the additional $100K going for, because it's not anywhere in the agenda? So we have to come back and finish next week. We don't have the time. Thanks for yielding the floor.
Clerk.
Catherine Flowers regarding the noise waiver on 911 Dawkins Street.
I guess I have to change it to good afternoon. My name is Catherine Flowers. I'm here to speak to to the noise waiver for 911 Dolphin Street on March the 3rd, 2025. This property adjoins the Old Dolphin Way residential neighborhood, and we live immediately adjacent to this property. I have a copy of the noise waiver application here. It states that it's for 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. At the bottom of the application, it clearly states, and I'm quoting, "Note, in residential areas cannot go beyond 10 p.m." They're asking from 6 to 1 a.m. We're asking for you to follow the waiver application and the ordinance and deny going beyond 10 p.m. Judging from the date, it seems that it's a Mardi Gras ball, but Mardi Gras balls don't belong in a residential neighborhood. When there's live music next door to us, our windows literally rattle. Our house was built in 1895, and we love it, and we love where we live. We're willing to support the noise waiver to 10 p.m. However, we strongly oppose extending the time which the application clearly prohibits. We've had a number of issues in our neighborhood recently in the last year relative to the lack of enforcement of city ordinances. I'm just asking for you to do the right thing. Follow the law. I'd greatly appreciate it, and our neighborhood would. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
So the application is from 5 o'clock until 1. From 5. Okay. Ordinance is held over. 64025, consider an ordinance to amend Article 13, Section 64-13-2 of the Unified Development Code.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved in second, in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ordinance passed.
64029, rezone property located at 7701, 7705, 7709, 7621, and 7631 Old Government Street Road from R1 to R3.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved in second, in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passed.
CIP resolutions held over. 08410, approved purchase order to Acatus Inc. for Ethernet switches and transceivers for traffic signal upgrades.
So moved. Second.
Been properly moved in second, in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passed.
Resolutions held over. 01411, authorized agreement with Mobile County Commission for county paving city segments, Unicor. 08412, approved purchase order to Gauls Inc., LLC for ballistic body armor and helmets. 08413, approved purchase order to SHI International for annual subscription renewal for Rock Solid Citizen Engagement Software. 09414, transfer funds from Public Works Executive Administration to Capital Project Fund for Citywide Resilience Assessment and Plan. 21415, authorized contract with Barton Associates for Cruise Terminal Parking Garage structural inspection and design services for repairs. 21416, authorized contract with H&H Electrical for electrical upgrades and lighting at Copeland Cox Tennis Center. 25417, grant a permanent easement to Alabama Power to provide underground service to U.S. Army Corps of Engineers building.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved in second, in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes.
Ordinance is being introduced, 64030 through 64033.
Move to waive the rules for immediate consideration of ordinance 64-032, with the rest of these being laid over for 1 week.
Second.
Properly moved in second, in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Rules waived. Madam Clerk?
64032, rezone property located at 255, 257, and 259 Dogwood Drive from R1 to B1.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved in second, and in discussion.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Days?
We had our third public hearing on this item today. I've been here for 10 or 11 years. I can't recall any similar item having been subjected to such discussion. So we've had plenty of information from both the applicant and those opposed to the application. The matter comes to us, at least insofar as the zoning change is concerned, de novo, so we can look at it as a fresh slate. This is a complicated matter with strong arguments on both sides. For that purpose, I urge my colleagues to use their own judgment with respect to this matter. I want to start out by commending Mr. Sad for the work he's done on this project. He's worked long and hard on it. I think he has spent a lot of time working with the residents in the neighborhood. He's, I think, been over backwards to meet the objections of the residents. He's had to be down here for 3 hearings. The dates kept changing. So I think Mr. Sad has done a really good job with respect to preparing this for the council. The CVS at the corner of University and Airport is a part of this discussion, and I think it does bear some relevance to what we're talking about today. Councilman Copeland before me and I resisted every effort to develop this corner because it was, even though it had commercial on the other 3 corners, it was part of a residential neighborhood. It had been there for a long time. The residents were opposed to it. In the event, as we all know, the city council declined to change the zoning. It was taken to the circuit court, and the circuit court directed the council to change the zoning. Now, if we act today, well, some of the arguments in favor of changing the zoning are that the other, 4 corners are now commercial, and just the attractiveness of Mr. Sad's project. And if that part of Airport Boulevard is going to become commercial, that would be, is that kind of development you would like to see it become. And I've warned the residents that, city council denied on the CVS property, the city council denied the zoning request. It was taken to circuit court, and the circuit court directed the council to change it. There's certainly a possibility that this could happen. If the city council denies the zoning request, the change of the zoning request, there's certainly an opportunity for Mr. Sad at some point to take it to the circuit court, and an opportunity for the circuit court to act as they did with the CVS project, in which case the actual development of the property might be less attractive than it is under Mr. Sad's proposal. On the other hand, I think this property is different than the CVS. CVS had University Boulevard on one side and Dogwood on the other. It's this little sliver of property between 2 roads. This part of Airport Boulevard is residential on both the south and the north sides. From on the north side, from excuse me, from just east of Publix all the way down to Pinebrook, and on the south side from Dogwood down to where the commercial starts, close to Azalea Road. I think in these instances where there are good arguments on both sides, I think you got to listen to the residents. I think in the end, you got to listen to the residents. And I'm just not convinced that changing the zoning here would promote the community's public health, safety, and general welfare, or that this change is necessary. And I think the residents certainly feel it is not desirable. So I'll be voting against it.
Any other discussion from this council?
Yes, sir, Mr. President.
Mr. Reynolds.
This is not an easy zoning matter to resolve, but it's not a personal matter. It's not one that's, has anything to do with personalities or anything like that. It has specifically to do with the property, and those are the things that should be considered in all of this. As Mr. Dave stated, the CVS property certainly plays a role in this, and those changing conditions that now has made it very desirable to continue to push to the east. But I think we still have a job and a role to play as a city council to protect the health, safety, or public welfare in this. And, hearing from both sides, I heard from today, I heard from Steve and Evan and Rebecca and Christy, and they say things like, and Ms. Cochran, they said the street design is very much different from that of CVS. The plan, the future land use plan, comprehensive plan shows this property as future residential. There is a line has been pointed to the disruption of covenants and restrictions in the general area. The steepness of Airport Boulevard was raised, although rebutted very well by Mr. Sad. Eastbound traffic coming off of University, creating an additional traffic hazard that is really a congested intersection and maybe not as well designed as it could be. There's been evidence put forward that since CVS alone has come, the noise has increased in this area. Property values have been raised, that this could adversely affect their property value, and I can see why. Who wants to live next to a commercial business, or when you look out your back door, you see a commercial business, no matter how nice it is. And then the privacy issue, privacy use of a backyard. I don't know what the fencing requirements are there. You probably could install a privacy fence, but I'm not sure those have been raised. And then the environmental impact, ponding of water on airport since the CVS project came along. So I think this is fairly debatable. That there is in fact a need to protect the health, safety, or public welfare on this property. And I think it is substantially relatable. This project is substantially relatable to those changes happening in this area. And, I side with the residents on this one that, there's just too many issues here for this. And I think it's within our purview, and it's something we should do to side on protecting the health, safety, and public welfare. So I'll be voting no. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any other discussion? All in favor? All opposed?
Opposed.
Item failed. Madam Clerk?
64033, consider a modification of a previously approved planned unit development for property located at 3674 and 3680 Dolphin Street.
Hey, Lisa, that one is held over, isn't it?
Yeah, it's automatically held over.
Oh, I'm sorry. Consent resolutions being introduced. 40-419 through 60-427.
Move to waive the rules for immediate consideration of these resolutions as read.
Second.
Properly moving second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Madam Clerk?
40-419, declare the structure at 2434 Redmond Street a public nuisance and order it demolished. 58-420, assess cost for removal of weeds, repeat weedling group 70. 60-421, approve award of special bonus to Bill Mobile Employee of the Month. 60, 422, 423, 424, 425, 426, and 427 are determining appropriations to Center for Living Arts, Gulf Coast Caribbean Carnival Association, Murphy High School, Yorktown Baptist Church, the Village of Spring Hill, Mobile Bay Area Veterans Day Commission serve a public purpose and approve payment.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moving second in the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes.
Resolutions being introduced 01-428 through 31-435.
By council rules, these will lay over for 1 week.
Call for public hearings. 41-436, call for public hearing to rezone property located at 3300 Norwood Drive and 3401 and 3421 Medical Park Drive from R1, B1, and B2 to B2 scheduled June the 18th.
So moved.
Second.
And properly moving second in the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Public hearing is called.
Announcements.
District 4, Councilman Reynolds. District 5, Councilman Days.
No announcements.
District 2, Councilman Carroll.
Yes, Mr. President. As I said today, we held over the waiver of the noise ordinance for 911 Dolphin Street. I'm going to ask Pavonia and Lori if they would send out notices to the immediate community along with the person requesting the waiver of the noise ordinance. And let's get a meeting scheduled before the 30 days. Let's have a conversation, find out what's actually going on over there and what we actually need to do. Say again? Oh, I'm so sorry. Victoria upstairs. Victoria, I'm sorry, Victoria, not Lori Beasley, sorry.
And also, Mr. Carroll, I'd like to say too that know for a fact how hard that you work in District 2 and stay on top of things. Many people don't know exactly how much you do behind closed door to protect the citizens of District 2. But I am a witness of a lot of things that you have done, and behind closed door many days and many of nights that you be around here working for the citizens of District 2. But again, if they only knew exactly how much you would do, they would really be surprised. But again, I do commend you, Councilman Carroll.
Thank you.
Mr. Woods?
No announcements.
Okay, in District 3, I would say my announcement for next week. Anything from the administration?
No,
My
no
goodness, I'm
announcements.
sorry.
Yeah, you got to recognize me for all my good works too. How about 5 good works behind the scenes? as well?
William is up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Take him, send, but not
Motion to adjourn.
responding.
I think William just can't sleep. Okay, all in favor of adjourning?
You sure you don't have no announcement?
I'm
Okay, I apologize, Vice President. All in favor for